let me go, let me bring it home to you. Just let me go, let me bring it home to you. Now if
What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon. Welcome to the long-awaited episode of Aperture, our new photography series where we don't do much in particular, but everything photography. A lot of ideas for this series, but nonetheless, I'm kicking it off with the beloved 950 XL, or beloved based on who you are. So I got a nice bit of comparison here between the Lumia 950 XL, the iPhone, and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. And if it were up to me, I would immediately eliminate the Galaxy for that long, ridiculous ass name. But that wouldn't be quite fair now, would it? Especially when Lumia 950 isn't much better. So, a little introduction to myself for those of you who are not familiar with what I do. In terms of photography, I enjoy street photography. I live in New York, and I got me a nice camera, specifically a Sony A7 Mark II. And I got a beast of a lens, and I got a beast of a perspective, and I really enjoy photographing things I see in my daily life, particularly New York City. So, I started off with the street photography a while back. It was more so mobile photography because the Lumia 1020 was such a beast. It actually inspired me to go out and get the shooting. Then I got the Lumia 1520, and in between there I've had various iPhones and various Android phones. So, photography's always been a thing for me, particularly on cell phones. And there's something about just taking that picture and being able to edit directly on your phone and really achieve the look or the vision you saw when you took that picture and bring it to life. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, you are looking at Lightroom, and this is where I do a lot of my editing these days. I really do enjoy the editing portion of photography a lot. Before, I used to just upload stuff straight from the camera, but I feel like you can do a lot more in post that will actually bring out a lot of drama in the images and really bring the stories to life. So that's why I prefer to do post editing as opposed to right out the camera. Now, these phones, 2 of the 3 of these phones are capable of shooting raw, and oddly enough, take it like it is, the Galaxy, even though I turned on the raw mode and I turned on the raw in the settings and I switched to the pro mode, it still did not record the raw image, which is such a catastrophe because I feel like the Galaxy would have been a hell of a dope contender to the Nokia. And of course, we know the iPhone does not shoot in RAW. So if you look down here, lower left, I have the images labeled nicely. So you'll see this is from the Edge. This guy here is from the iPhone. And these 2 are from the Nokia. Now, let's do some explaining here. The Nokia has a feature called Rich Capture. And pretty much what it does is it captures a series of data in 2 or 3 different images depending on the scenario, and it then compiles those images to allow you to further tweak the amount of detail, look, and feel of the image by a slider in the default photo app. But the dope part about Rich Capture is when you export those images, when you get those raw images, it actually creates, you'll get the difference in a raw image. So here you see you have this is the long exposure, and you can tell it's a long exposure because look how blurred out this bag is, right? And then this one is a short exposure. So if we go back on that bag, it's a little more in focus, but this guy was walking, right? So you can definitely see the difference. This scenario here won't really help me if I combine these 2 files into one file to give me the HDR and the best quality possible. But if I go over to something like this guy here, it gave me 3 images, right? So one where it's at 0 exposure, which means this is the best the camera thinks this image can be in exposure wise. Then it has this one that's minus. Actually, wait. Yep, this one is minus and this one is plus. So this one's a little. Is that all backwards? I think I got the naming backwards, but you can tell. Yeah, this one here should be the plus. This is the minus. You can tell by the brightness difference. And then this one's the well exposed. So the idea here is, and this is why I often enjoy editing videos. Editing pictures from the Nokia. And sure, the Galaxy gives me. Did I say Nokia? I meant Microsoft. The Galaxy gives me a raw image, but there's nothing like having these three images here that I can then merge and compile into one image. I think that's such a powerful feature, and here you see how it takes those three images, and immediately I've got a lot more to work with. So I'm gonna turn the auto tone off, and I'll tell it to auto align, and that's fine, and let it merge it in the background. So yeah, just quick stuff as to why I still view the Microsoft offering as the best for photography consumers out there. It's a lot to offer, especially if you do a lot of post editing, and even if you don't do a lot of post editing, the the option to have the ability to adjust the detail, look, and feel of your image on a slider is pretty dope. It's pretty dope. Now, me, I'll tell you, disclaimer again, I'm not a big pixel peeper, meaning I don't get in here and just, there's plenty of grain here and this is not as sharp. That's not my life. I mean, you guys, this is why I'm doing the video. It's pretty high quality. You guys can see for yourself. I'll leave the pixel peeping up to you. Let me get rid of, which one do I want to get rid of? Let's get rid of the long exposure one. Yep. I actually don't need that here. All right, so let's take a look. This is the image from the Galaxy, and the angle was kind of off, but lighting was the same, everything was the same. This guy is the iPhone, and then this guy is the Lumia. Now, just eyeballing it, I would probably say the Lumia smack dab in the middle here. I feel like these colors are more true to life, especially that blue. When you're talking detail, again, the Lumia definitely knocks both of them out of the frame. It's definitely a lot more detail in the Lumia. And to be quite honest and to be fair, I expected the Galaxy to be right up there with the Lumia. But this is a raw file, and again, whatever glitch that was in the software didn't give me a raw file. So we're looking at a JPEG for the iPhone here, well, for the Edge, and then we're looking at a JPEG here for the iPhone. So this is what RAW does. You get a lot more detail, but again, hey man, it is what it is, right? So in this particular image, I'm definitely gonna go with the. I'm definitely going to go with the Lumia in terms of if I was going to edit this image. But look how close all three cameras are. I feel like the iPhone definitely was the faster of the three. The Lumia takes some time to compose the images. And it even, again, one of my frustrations with that Lumia is it's still beta software, so it takes a little bit. When you click on the image, it'll tell you still rendering like 5-6 seconds after. So that annoyed the bejesus out of me. So again, here we go with the multiple images from the Lumia. This really doesn't help me, the long and short exposure. It kind of does, because this one's a little darker, this one's a little brighter, but ultimately I'm just gonna go for the brighter one. It's not really a big deal in this shot. So if we look at the three here, this is an interesting one, right? So these lights were actually on, and what makes this particularly challenging, it's the middle of the day, these lights are on, and I'm really close to this subject, this little pine. And what I thought was interesting is how the iPhone just it didn't do really a good job at handling handling the exposure, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But looking at these details, again, breaks my heart that the Edge did not give me the raw file. I feel like the Edge would have been really close to the Lumia. You look at the iPhone, again, nowhere close in detail. This is a JPEG, I keep saying it, but look at this. Look at the difference between this. And even if you want to tell me, oh, well, it's a raw format, and that's not a fair comparison. Hey, Apple got to step their game up. If you want to get it done, then give us the raw. It's not that big of a deal. They can do it. So let's zoom out here. If we look at this shot from the Edge, we got and this is a particularly difficult shot because these lights are on. So the camera is sort of hunting for what should be in focus, what it should expose for. And ultimately, I feel like the Edge got it right. It knew to expose for the little pine here. And over here is a little bit of bokeh, and we can see, okay, this is the cement. That's okay. On the iPhone, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Not so much. Not so okay. And I feel like the lights, these little Christmas lights really threw off the exposure in the iPhone. And then here's the Lumia. We got some nice bokeh going on here, same as with the Edge. And we can see the depth. Look, this light here is a lot blurred out. And then we got these strands coming more in focus, then more in focus. And as we come closer, you see a lot more in focus. Now, what I want to point out as well is when I actually did this comparison, I didn't tap anything to focus. I just pulled these phones out and hit the camera button. So whatever they focused on was what they focused on, and I thought that was the important part to me. I wanted to see how intelligent these things were, and it's shocking to see what happened here with the iPhone, right? Because usually I thought the iPhone is almost always the most balanced of the cameras, but I don't know what's going on here. So again, we're looking at this street image, and this image is going to be tough because the traffic was moving. So mainly what I would focus on is what's going on in the background. I guess we can focus on this guy right here. That's the Galaxy. Again, good looking image. This lady with her fucking Fred Flintstone jacket. The iPhone here is a good image as well. I'm liking what I see. And then of course here's the Lumia. Again, the best out of the three. Maybe because of the raw file, maybe not. If we're looking at the colors, the Lumia is definitely more warm than everything else. The Edge seems a lot more overexposed in the sky. So I guess the best image pretty much comes down to the Lumia again. How about that? Yeah. So let's remove these three because we compiled them into that 1 mega image, right? This was a tough shot. Don't point your goddamn cameras towards the sun. Don't do it. I mean, if you want to do it with your iPhone, your cell phone, okay, whatever. But just don't do this with your professional cameras. But anyway, here are pretty much the same shot, 3 different phones. Now, what's difficult about this is how the camera has to evaluate the exposure, because there's a shit ton of light right here and an intense light source, and then there's all of these shadows, and how do you maintain all of that detail here? So this is where those 3 images that we compiled came in handy, right? Because there was an exposure that was really low that really gave us these nice colors in the sky. Then there was an exposure that was just right, and then there was an exposure that was really wide open to show us a lot of the details in these buildings here. Now, if we look at what the Edge gave us, the Edge gave us a decent job, actually, of what's going on here in the buildings, but then look at the sky. There's no detail in the sky, okay? And then we look at the iPhone, again, the same thing, but look, there's still some detail here in the sky, and there's still some detail here. So I think the iPhone did a really good job evaluating this, and I'm actually impressed at the image that the iPhone threw out. And then there's this. I mean, this is a wild image right here. This is going up on my Instagram. And the only one I'm probably gonna edit is this one, and I'm gonna do a quick edit to show you guys the nitty gritty on my style and how I like a lot of contrast I've been criticized for. But this right here out of the three, and it's a very obvious reason, right? Because if I'm editing this, I want to edit in RAW, because RAW allows me to make a lot of adjustments, but really still get most out of the quality. So it's not like editing a shitty file, and it's got tons of detail and allows me to really dial in the settings a lot more. So there we go. Let me drop the highlights on that. I don't need the sun in anyone's face. Bring out a little bit more shadows, although I could put the contrast up and then leave the shadows here. This gives a very mysterious shot, but the issue with this is I like this guy. I like this pose. I like everything he was doing. So I kind of want to bring him out a little. Just right there. I really like that look. And then, of course, I want to get my blacks. Let me zoom out a little. I want to get my blacks right. Just to about there. I want to get my whites right. Just to about there. Now, clarity is something a lot of photographers go back and forth on. Some people like it, some don't. If I increase the clarity, you see everything gets this really sharp, unnatural look to it. And if you go too soft, everything looks, well, nice and rounded. So clarity, I tend to leave. When I'm doing images from cell phones, I tend to leave clarity alone, because they generally don't capture the amount of detail that would give a really nice look and feel when playing with clarity. If I was doing something like if I shot this with my Sony, then I can go up on the clarity and you wouldn't really see this quite shitty look, actually. Now, something that I had to learn the hard way is when editing, right? Most people edit here, and you export and the image look lovely, and then you upload it somewhere where people who know photography can get a hold of it, and the first thing they do is this. Boom. They zoom right in, and then they see all of these little inconsistencies, these nuances, how everything just look fake. Go back in, you know what I mean? When you're editing your stuff, I like to go in, I like to see how the changes that I'm applying really affects the entire picture. So, and one small note, you see like these little outlines right here. This happens from the HDR. When I created those three images, it was off ever so slightly in some portions of it. So, and that's because those images were captured milliseconds apart, right? But they were captured apart. So sometimes that's the bad. You can see some of that stuff coming through. But yeah, let's just bump up the vibrance a little. Now, I really want that bluish sky. Let's drop the light down a little. Do I want it to be a little darker? I kind of like it a little darker. Let me make sure I get in on him. I don't want to lose him. No, give me my shadows. I really like this. I really like this. This guy's everything right here. Turn the sharpening down, reduce some of that noise. There is no profile yet for the 950. Let's see. See, the noise reduction work is a lot less grainy now. Yeah, so I mean, overall, I think we got a good image here. Other than that, we'll just fix the composition a little bit, bring it in, and there we have it. We got a nice little street photography picture here. Let me give it some contrast, see what it looks like. I like this deep dark look. Although, yeah, let's get rid of the flare some more. Yeah, this works for me. And then we go and export that and we make it rock. So yeah, you know, again, I don't want to get into the conversation of pixel peeping and what's best and what's not best. I think for someone like myself, who when I come home, I'm in a studio work mode anyway, the Lumia was the best choice. Especially it gave me the option of when using that rich capture. Rich, by the way, is a fairly annoying setup right now on Windows Mobile 10 or Windows 10 Mobile, because the rich capture, even though you have it on, the camera still decides if it's going to take those multiple shots and the type of multiple shots. So here you see it did a long exposure. I don't want a long exposure. I want a negative, a 0, and a plus. That would have helped me a lot more in bringing out the quality of this thing. But like, guys, look at this. Look at this. Increase the clarity. There's so much that we can do. Look how dramatic that looks right there. There's no much light, so that highlight won't work. Let me drop this. Let's give that some. Look at that. Look how sharp that is. And I'm not saying this is something that is just proprietary to the Lumia, because I've done this with my Samsung. But for some reason, the glitch didn't give me the RAW file, and this is the power of RAW. So when you see people announce, oh, it supports RAW, when LG did it, when Nokia did it back in the day, a lot of people turned up their noses. I don't need those big files on my phone. If you ever want to get it on a computer and really open up that image and make it transform into something different, then yeah, you want that RAW, right? And I think it's such a dope thing to have on a cell phone. Look at that. We could just make it such a more dramatic shot, such a festive shot. You would never thought that this thing was shot on the street. Oh, it's so addicting when you see what you can do when you have the power of RAW. Let's give the highlights so we can get a lot more intensity from these lights. We could increase it, but well, yeah, why not? Look how beautiful that looks. Oh my God. Then we give the color and we give it some correction right there. Boom. Merry Christmas, bitches. Anyway, I hope you guys like the very first episode of Aperture. We got a lot more coming. You know, me and the boys go out and we shoot pretty often. I'm going to be uploading a few pictures from other mobile photography on my Instagram. Make sure you guys check me out on Instagram at Ramon Trotman. Make sure you hit up the Facebook. Check us on Facebook and follow Lifestyles Defined on Instagram. I think we got a pretty dope Instagram. I'm out of here, man. Leave your comments and suggestions for the series below. Any questions you may ask, holla at us. I'm out. Peace.